The School of Hard Knocks 23 took place at the Subway Soccer Centre in Calgary. Professional and amateur fighters from across Canada battled it out in the Hard Knocks cage.
To the School of Hard Knocks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 170-pound division and is brought to you by D&D Oilfield Rentals, Hard Knocks official cage movers. And now, let's meet the fighters. Coming to you out of Grand Prairie, this is Randy Mahone.
So Randy Mahone comes out of the Heiho Dojo. Earlier, a defeat on their record as they got into the Hard Knocks cage, in any cage for the first time. But Randy coming in to the cage and considers himself more of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, but certainly knows his way around the Muay Thai game as well.
Yeah, he's training out of course, the Heiho gym in Grand Prairie. It's a younger gym, but he thinks that with his opponent Elvis, he thinks that he can get inside of what he would call sloppy striking. He watched Elvis's last fight, which of course was a no decision, and he thinks that is going to be his game plan. He wants to watch Elvis punch him with a sloppy punch and be able to counter accurately using those Muay Thai skills.
He says he needs to get inside because Elvis is approaching 6 feet. Randy just under 5'10". Feels like reach might be an advantage for Elvis, but like you said, looking to slip inside and do some damage in close. Also, talking to him last night, he said, looking forward, he said Elvis in his first fight really pushed the pace, really came forward. And so he's been working specifically on how to counter an aggressive fighter and how to step back and counter punch and get inside those punches.
Well, and counter punching is an art form. It's something that very few have mastered. And the problem with counter punching, and the reason that so few have mastered, is that it involves somebody punching you first. And if that punch is accurate, it's going to do damage, and the counter punch is going to fail. You have to be able to slip that punch and to be able to counter punch or time it so your punch is coming in faster. A looping hook is not as fast as a jab. So, and if you catch a guy stepping forward with a big looping hook and you catch him right with a jab right on the jaw, accuracy and accurately on the jaw, you're going to do damage even though it's just a small jab. Someone coming forward, it's two things meeting as opposed to one thing going towards a stationary object.
Now, in talking to Randy last night, also mentioned the youth of his gym, just 16 months old, and they are the only MMA gym in Grand Prairie, which is why he's making his amateur debut at age 27.
And his opponent. Coming at you from Calgary, this is Elvis Lukai.
So Elvis Lukai gets the hometown cheers from the Calgary crowd as he comes down to the cage, just 18 years old, making his second appearance in the Hard Knocks cage and second appearance as an MMA fighter. 0-1, a draw suffered in his previous fight that he found himself, he in my mind, he cost himself that fight because the draw was as a result of 1 point deducted due to unintentional low blows. He had 3 of them over the course of the fight. On the third one, the referee deducted a point, and it came out as a 28-28 decision. And so the 1 point deducted from Elvis Vukai cost him the win.
Well, you do have to. There are a few rules in MMA, and you have to respect the one where it's about low blows. Back in the old days, before it was unified rules, low blows used to be allowed, and it was something that ended up getting out of hand when the UFC stepped in, unified those rules. That was the very first thing that they took out of the rules, is the ability to do that. And even though they're accidental, you have to be able to be in control enough of your kicks and of your strikes to make sure that that doesn't happen.
And now for the official fighter introductions, we'll go to the center of the cage to Jay Nance.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the Rig Pig Apparel blue corner, it's his amateur debut. He's 27 years old and stands 5 feet, 9 inches tall. He weighed in at 166.5 pounds, fighting out of Hey Ho Dojo from Grand Prairie. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Randy Pink Mahone. And in the Flamins Fitness red corner, he's 0-1 as an amateur, 18 years old, and stands 6 feet tall. He weighed in at 170 pounds, fighting out of Knuckles MMA from Calgary. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Elvis Vukai. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Brian Beauchamp.
So Brian Beauchamp back in charge in the center of the cage. The fighters are ready, the cage is closed, the ref is ready, and we are underway here in our 4th fight of the night. Vukai and Mahon. Mahon out of the blue corner in the white trunks. Vukai a quick pace to start this one as both exchange punches, kicks and knees. Vukai swarming Mahon at this point, and this may be quickly over as knees being thrown to the body of Mahon. Vukai is all over him here in the early going.
Yeah, he is, and the official unfortunately did not see there were a few head strikes when Mahon went down, and those got unchecked, and hopefully it doesn't end up going against Mahon here, but credit his toughness because he took a heck of a lot of shots, and he's coming back, and good technique here, nice kicks actually.
So Mahon ate it early from Elvis Vukai, who said he was going to come forward to start this fight, and that was absolutely the case. But Mahon comes on with his own. He's trying to pass, trying to get into side control. Vukai keeping him at bay thus far. Throws him aside and moves in. Again, a nice defense on the ground from Vukai, and Mahon lets him up. Superman punch coming from Elvis as he tries to land one, but that one didn't get through.
Well, the one thing you could say about Vukai, he's got a lot of power, and again, Mahon said it right. He said that those punches aren't coming very accurately, but they're very fast. And if you move the wrong way, it can cause you a lot of problems. And these are huge shots being thrown right now by these two guys.
Both fighters landing big shots. Elvis Vukai threw so much into the left hand that he fell down delivering it.
And some Muay Thai clinching going on here. Checking those knees and trying for a takedown. Got a single leg. He's in good position here. He needs to take him back off the cage just with some chest pressure. Vukai is giving it to him right now by taking his back off of the cage and abandoning the leg attack and wanting to go up top is Mahon. Again, making his amateur debut, Vukai with the draw. So both these guys looking for their first win in the cage.
Both fighters exchanging knees up against the cage. 40 seconds left according to our feature productions fight clock.
And some blood coming from the nose of Vukai.
Both fighters landing big strikes. Huge right hand thrown there by Mahan.
Big connect there, and that was a very accurate shot, followed by another one. You don't have to land 50 if you land one really accurate.
And blood now coming from the mouth of Elvis Vukai as well. Randy Mahan's strikes have done their damage here in round number 1. Both fighters setting a furious pace for our 5th fight of the night.
Kind of looking like Ryan Mahan in there as Randy.
Yeah, both fighters really going for it, and the coach is going to have to do a little bit of work on the nose of Elvis Vukai, bleeding from the nose, and we'll see him get cleaned up quickly, I'm sure. And on the other side Randy Mahan gets in, and
we're getting some love. We're getting some love from the Subway Soccer Center guy here. He's decided to throw things at us. Good old Doug Kirkwood, though.
Doug Kirkwood runs the tightest board in show business, but now works at the Subway Soccer Center.
Did a good job, though.
Economics of radio, ladies and gentlemen. But back to the fight, Elvis Vukai, furious pace to start the fight, but Randy Mahan did a very good job of not only
weathering the storm,
but recovering and potentially winning that round. That round on my scorecard, too close to call. I wouldn't even put a prediction out there because both fighters landed quality shots, and we can see here a barrage from Mahan up against the cage that left Elvis Vukai in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, we're going to see. I think this second round, let's call the first round a draw, just for sake of terms here. I think the person who wins the second round is going to be leading this fight. It sounds very strange, but I can't think of a way to call that fight or call that first round. It was so back and forth, and both guys were effective with their striking. More strikes from Vukai, more accuracy from Mahan. So it depends on what the judges are looking for and what they want.
So more blood coming from the mouth and nose of Elvis Vukai. Didn't get a chance to stop it in the corner, or it wasn't. They didn't effectively stop it in the corner between rounds, as it's dropping pretty hard out of the face of Vukai. But Mahan comes out striking both these fighters a little more tentative to start round number 2.
Well, both of them took huge shots and a nice catch there. And if you look, this is some very quality fighting from Randy Mahan, and it is his striking is accurate. It's compact. He's not looping his punches. They're coming straight forward. The technique is there. The athleticism of Vukai is being able to battle this consistent and technical striking from Mahan.
Yeah, Vukai trying to move forward, but Mahan doing a good job of covering up in the early going of round number 2. Big kicks thrown by both fighters, and Mahan felt that one. Vukai tried to come in with a kick and punch combo that almost caught Mahan right on the chin.
Yeah, and these guys are both throwing crazy shots. Wow, nice 2-punch combination, but blood streaming from the nose and mouth of Elvis Vukai.
Mahan continuing to come forward. Those leg kicks have got to be affecting Mahan, because you can see every time he takes one, he goes back and takes an extra step to maybe walk it off just a touch, as Elvis Vukai is throwing dangerous leg kicks and continues to do so, and now is following them with punches.
Well, definitely the aggression score is definitely going to Elvis Vukai. He's the one stepping forward, but I cannot get over how technical for an amateur debut that Randy Mahan's punches are. They are just amazingly technical punches that are landing very accurately, and you can see the damage on Vukai's face.
Kick there thrown by Mahan. Not much on it though, just the toes, but you can start to see around the knee of Elvis Vukai, because he's wearing the shorter shorts. You can see the damage on both legs. Big welt on the inside of the knee of Vukai.
Yeah, and that's where you want to land the kick. Again, it's about accuracy. Kicks in the thigh are one thing, and yes, they will slow a fighter down, but that spot right above the knee is where you want to be hitting. And good cage control here by Randy Mahan.
But Elvis Fukai, like a high knees exercise in football, just throwing them into the midsection. Both of these fighters, again, another round that may be too close to call, and this last 10 seconds could decide it.
Trying for a throw and nothing doing there at the end. Wow, I don't know who won that one either.
This fight is close, ladies and gentlemen, and this has been probably our best fight of the night thus far, as Randy Mahan and Elvis Fukai are going back and forth here in the Hard Knocks cage. You're watching Hard Knocks 23 live from the Subway Soccer Center in Calgary.
And Fukai is cut up. He is cut up. He's got a cut over his eye. His nose is bleeding. His mouth is bleeding. And nothing on the face of Randy Mahan. And in a close fight like this, maybe that's what decides it, is who looks like they've taken more damage.
Yeah, both of these fighters thus far landing a significant number of strikes, but like you mentioned, and Elvis now giving the big thumbs up to the referee who came over to check on him here to see how he was doing, and you can see the back of Brian Beauchamp there blocking off the view of Elvis Fukai, but Fukai is bleeding quite a bit there in his corner, and his corner doing everything they can to stop it, because again, under amateur rules, the referee has a little more discretion in stopping a fight due to injury.
If you look though, and I completely agree with you, if you look at where the location of these cuts are, they're in no danger. The big danger is when you get a cut above the eye. That's because the blood will drain down in the eye, causing vision problems, which ends up a big problem there. The cut is to the side, so when it drips down, it's not any danger of going in the eye, so the official make the right call here, letting him continue. Of course, if Elvis Fukai wants to keep getting punched in the face, all the power to him.
So timeout now called. Going to neutral corners.
And Beauchamp is going to bring the doctor in just to have a quick look.
Again, no blood coming from the nose as well as the cut over the eye. The doctor going to give him a good look. Interesting, Jeremy, when I listened to Forrest Griffin talking about the doctor, and he said whenever the ref wants you to see the doctor, walk over to somebody else that's also in the cage and pretend that you think that's the doctor, because it gives you an extra couple seconds to recover before the doctor gets to see you.
Well,
no option there for Elvis Fukai, though, as there was no one else in the cage.
Yeah.
Big right hand from Mahan and a low blow from Elvis Fukai. He disagrees and says it wasn't a low blow, but it looks like that one, and we can see why Elvis might be hesitant to think it was a low blow, because of course a low blow cost him his last fight. It turned a win into a draw, and obviously he doesn't want a low blow.
We're gonna watch the replay here and see. Yeah, it wasn't on purpose, but he caught him
and that
right on the mummy daddy
that
button.
That happened to him a couple times last time too, where both fighters went for a kick, and his kick just landed in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Certainly not intentional, and I'm sure there will be the ceremonial touching of gloves to indicate that everybody knows it wasn't on purpose, but Elvis not happy with the stoppage, because he might have thought he had a moment to continue.
Yeah.
And not even a touch of the gloves, but a hug at the center of the cage. So all is well and good as we resume round number 3 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in this, our 4th fight of the night.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't necessarily MMA fans and know, these guys are fighting, they don't hate each other. There's not a hate. They're here, they're competing in a martial art. Yes, it's bloody, yes, it's violent, but these guys have ultimate respect, and when there's an accident like that, you see, and this is not an uncommon occurrence to see two fighters come together like that and just show how much they do respect one another for getting in the cage. Great shot there, a right hand by Fukai.
Yeah, nice right hand that slipped inside as Mahan tried to come forward up against the cage. Now Mahan has Fukai, and again, having him up against the cage like this can do nothing but good in the judges' scorecard.
Well, it also takes away that athleticism, because you look at Fukai and you've seen some of those athletic things that he's done, the Superman jumps, the punches from way outside that still landed. And if you're pushing a guy up against the cage, he can't use that athleticism against you. Then it comes to technique. You look at Fukai, had a nice little good head and arm position, but wasn't able to get his hips through to be able to throw it.
So again, both fighters continuing to throw strikes here. And And earlier tonight when I talked to Elvis, he said it was going to be a stand-up show, and because that's what he's all about. English not his strongest suit, but was very clear that he wanted to stand and bang, and he's certainly done that here tonight and found a willing participant in Randy Mahon.
Yeah, willing participant, I think, is an understatement. He's found a guy who has very technical striking, has no interest in keeping this fight on the ground. And both these guys have done a fantastic... I don't want to be a judge in this fight.
No, certainly not. I can't... I've done a lot of these fights now. I've done a lot of MMA events, and I could not tell you who's going to win this fight at this point. And normally with 40 seconds left in round number 3, I've got a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think either of these rounds could go either way, and that's why we have 3 judges at 3 different vantage points. Technical striking, definitely to Mahon. There's no question there. Explosive striking, definitely to Vukai. Aggression to Vukai, and both these guys trading leg kicks now. Less than 10 seconds left, and here's where we're going to see these guys go. And maybe a takedown attempt here, pushing up against cage. Big shots there by both guys as they try and close out this fight.
Both fighters throwing amazing strikes here at the end of round number 3. That was a war, and so far an early candidate for our Fight of the Night bonus.
Oh, it's going to take a lot to beat that for Fight of the Night. I'm looking on Twitter here and following, and we've got people in the crowd here that are tweeting about this fight, and it's an amateur fight. These are guys that...
A special thank you goes out to Urban Optic, the official optometrist for School of Hard Knocks Fighting. Their time and commitment in making sure all our Calgary Hard Knocks fighters remain healthy is greatly appreciated by everyone at Hard Knocks Fighting. And thanks to Paradise Canyon Vacations, please make sure you give them a call to help you plan your next vacation.
And of course, some important words from our sponsors. And looking fairly unique, there is Vukai with the things in there to stop the blood. But this fight was insane. This is the epitome of what fighting should be. As we look at the replay of some of the action here, just look at the damage on Vukai's face, and some great shots landed, some accurate shots, some push to the cage. This is going to be the end of the 3rd round that we're watching here on our feature fight replay. And here they go, big swings. This is in slow motion. Let me tell you, this was right up in front of us, and this was a lot of action and fast that happened between us. You can follow Hard Knocks Fighting on Twitter at HK Fighting, and you can check it out. We're going to Jaden Nance with the official decision.
The official decision. Brought to you by D&D Oilfield Rentals, Hard Knocks official cage movers. The winner, by unanimous decision, in the red corner, Elvis Vukai!
So Elvis Vukai wins his first fight, and he's going to be in the center of the cage with Ryan, and I'm guessing definitely a very disappointed Randy Mahon, as he put in a hell of a fight. I don't think anybody will take anything away from Randy. That heck of a fight. And a big backflip there from Vukai. And he's going to be in the center of the cage here with
Elvis,
Ryan.
I'll get you center of the cage.
Translator is... his translator.
We'll get you a little cleaned off first.
We've seen in the cage.
That, if it's not Fight of the Night, it's going to take a very impressive effort by some other guys to get to Fight of the Night. That was a 3-round war, sir.
Yeah, thank you, God. Thank you, man. I thank, first of all, God. I thanks my coach, Max, number 1. I thanks Paul. Thanks my little cousin up here, my big cousin. And I thank God. I thank very much my uncle, Alex Vukai. He support me. That's his company right here. I thank my grandpa because he's dying. This fight is to him. I took a lot of punches. I didn't want to go down because my grandpa is really sick. And I say, I love you, grandpa. I say hi. Say it to Vukai, Pashk Vukai. They support me a lot. Thank you.
So I think we got one of the flurries here queued up on the replay. Walk us through what you're thinking now.
I don't know, man. He's a tough fighter. He has a strong head. I don't know. Good fighter. I didn't want to go on the ground. I know he was going to go on the ground, but still, good fight. That's what I'm supposed to say.
So every time I come in here to interview you, am I going to have to watch out for that backflip thing?
Yeah, I told my coach, I told my buddies, don't come behind me. So I did it, I'm going to do it again.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your winner, Elvis Vukai.
To find out more about Hard Knocks Fighting and upcoming Hard Knocks events, please visit hardknocksfighting.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 125-pound division and is brought to you by Big Four Motors. And now, let's meet the fighters. He's coming to you out of Terrace, BC. This is Blake Sigvaldason.
Fighting out of the dungeon in Terrace, BC is Blake Sigvaldason. Just 18 years old, stands 5'7", weighs in at 125 pounds. And yet again, I've got a fight that I'm heavier than the entirety of as we see these 225-pound fighters step into the center of the Hard Knocks cage.
So these aren't heavyweights then.
No.
We look in at Sigvaldason coming all the way from BC. In the dungeon, they mostly train jiu-jitsu, but they do train in all styles. And if you look at Keegan Oliver coming from Gracie Baja, has that jiu-jitsu background, started with jiu-jitsu, then evolved into wrestling, then went off to train his boxing and continuing to improve himself that way. He did watch the fight, the last fight against Keegan, that Keegan Oliver fought in, and he wanted to know that he knows that Keegan Oliver likes to take guys down, likes to control them on the ground.
Yeah, and it was interesting in talking to him too. He wanted to differentiate that he's not a Brazilian jiu-jitsu trained fighter. He's a traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu fighter and has been fighting in Japanese jiu-jitsu for the last 11 years before stepping into MMA 2 years ago, and does have himself a blue belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu. Says he's more of a counter striker, but wants to go forward, and Keegan Oliver obviously will be game to do that, as he has won both of his fights here in the Hard Knocks cage.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how Sigvaldason counters the wrestling. He's got that jiu-jitsu ability, so we'll see against Keegan.
His opponent. He's fighting out of Calgary. This is Keegan Oliver.
So Keegan Oliver comes down to the cage at 2-0, taking on Sigvaldason, who is making his amateur debut. And Keegan Oliver, an interesting case, because I certainly stand by the fact that I think he lost his first fight. He secured a lot of takedowns, but he was constantly in trouble of being submitted on the ground. But in his last fight, he won the Cage Control Award for the night for his dominant performance. And so we've seen two different Keegan Olivers as the training's gone on. And as you mentioned, Jeremy, and as he mentioned to me last night, started with Gracie Baja. That was the first gym that he was at. Then he added the Rock FC for his last fight, and now he's added Beaumont Boxing because he figures go to the specialists and learn their specialties, as opposed to having one under one umbrella of a mixed martial artist. He's going to learn each individual style and compile them into one.
Well, and you look at Gracie Baja's jiu-jitsu, Rock FC, definitely wrestling, Beaumont Boxing, obviously boxing. This is also a guy who traveled down to Vegas and trained with Vanderlei Silva for a week. he is a student of MMA. He loves fighting. He loves all forms of combat sports, and it's showing. He trains every day of the week. And when you look at him walking down the street, as you'll see when he comes into the cage, Keegan Oliver honestly looks like he's still in junior high. Yeah, and I'm not saying that's a negative because I really do like him.
No, but for the cauliflower badges he wears on the side of his head, you would have no idea that this kid is approaching his 20s, or unless he had a very violent childhood. And 22 years old is Keegan Oliver. But again, if I'm casting a movie for a junior high, I'm putting him in it. But again, it's interesting the talk about the tape and having tape on your opponent, because Keegan Oliver has 2 fights. They've both been published online. You're able to see them at any time. And Blake Sigvaldason has used those tapes to help develop a game plan. On the other side, Keegan told me he'd prefer to fight a guy that he has no tape on, because that won't let him build up an expectation. Oh, well, he dropped his head a little bit to the left, and when I saw him in the 2 fights that he has, then that's when he comes with the right hand. That may not always be the case, and it may fool him into a false sense of security.
And now, the official Hard Knocks fighter introductions. In the Rig Pig Apparel blue corner, it's his amateur debut. He's 18 years old and stands 5 feet, 7 inches tall. And weighed in at 124 1/2 pounds, fighting out of the dungeon from Terrace, BC. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Blake Snorri Sigvaldason. And in the Fireman's Fitness red corner, he's 2-0 as an amateur, 22 years old, and stands 5 feet, 7 inches tall. And weighed in at 124 1/2 pounds, fighting out of Gracie, Baja from Calgary. Please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Keegan the Conditioner Oliver. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Len Koivisto.
So Sigvaldason in the blue corner with the black and white pattern trunks. The plain black trunks on Keegan the Conditioner Oliver.
It's a new one.
That is a new one. I hadn't heard that one before.
He's silky smooth, that's why.
I understand. Oliver takes the leg kick, immediately shoots. A nice sprawl there from Sigvaldason, but Oliver doing everything he can to push through it and rolls around and gets back to his feet. A nice exchange there, but a nice takedown defense from Sigvaldason.
Great takedown defense by Sigvaldason, and throwing some great knees. Oliver trains with some of the best wrestlers in the country, and so you are going to see some great takedown defense so far by Sigvaldason, but continuing on in the continuity of the wrestling by Keegan Oliver. But very impressive by Sigvaldason, coming in with the game plans to work on his takedown defense, and you need it against a guy like Keegan Oliver, who's just known to take guys down over and over again.
So far, so good for Sigvaldason on the defense, but Oliver picks him right up off the ground and now has him down on the ground, but in a guard, although the head to the side, not really in danger of a guillotine choke there, but it looks like Sigvaldason's trying to pull the arm out.
Yeah, trying to get that arm into a position that he can work with, but Keegan's going to move forward here. One of the things that happened, and a little bit of rubber guard action happening here from Sigvaldason, one of the things that happened in the first fight is Oliver didn't do anything on the ground, and the referee running over, those small punches look like a tap out, so good thing that Koivisto didn't stop it. That would be very unfortunate.
Yes.
But yeah, Keegan Oliver didn't do anything on the ground on his top fight, and he stands by his victory, and in his second fight he learned from that, and he just was non-stop. It was, if you go back and watch that fight, I don't think he ever stopped taking him down. It was just takedown, and then he would let him up, punch him a few times, and take him down, and let him up and punch him and take him down. And now controlling on the ground, very difficult to get a wrestler there, but again, some interesting defense by Sigvaldason.
Yeah, Sigvaldason doing a good job of holding Oliver at bay so far. And again, for my money, doing more of the damaging strikes from the bottom. Now, this is what my argument was in Oliver's first fight, was that he wasn't now Now he's doing some damage of his own right now.
These are big shots coming down here by Keegan.
And I'm sure he can't hear me, but it's like he heard me because I thought, again, in that first fight, while he was on top, he certainly wasn't landing the most damaging strikes.
And this was Keegan baited him into this. You watched him let him crawl up the cage, and he did it just so he could pick him up and slam him down, making impressions on judges. That's what he's here for. Just coming down to our last couple seconds in our feature fight clock that you see in the right-hand corner.
10 seconds now left in round number 1. Oliver will likely end it on top, although Sigvaldason does a nice job to squirm out, but just they wait out the end of the first round. Oliver puts his hands up to reinforce to the judges that he's confident he won round number 1, and I'll actually go with that on this one. It did look early like Sigvaldason had the better of the striking, but once Keegan Oliver got the takedown, he remained in control throughout the remainder of the round, secured another takedown, like you said, after letting him up on the side of the cage.
Well, and Sigvaldason looks like a very powerful fighter for 125. He manhandled with the upper body. The problem with all that power at 125 is that it takes a lot of energy to be able to power those muscles, and we have a look here at the first part of the fight there. Very quick action. You'll watch the continuity on the wrestling here. Here's great takedown defense, some strikes landed, continuing on, getting his head in good position, and then coming through to end up in a good solid position. Good continuity there by wrestling, and excellent takedown defense by Sigvaldason. A 50-50 exchange in there.
Well, and again, you'll always get here at Hard Knocks because of the owner of Hard Knocks, an Olympian wrestler in the heavyweight class. He will tell you, as other MMA experts will, that wrestling is the best base for an MMA fighter to have before they start training mixed martial arts to be a solid wrestler. We were talking about it before the event tonight. He said that wrestling is the number one thing that fighters at this level need to have a solid base on. And Keegan Oliver, one of the better wrestlers that we have here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship.
Yeah, definitely improved his wrestling skills as he goes on, and just some extra cleanup there, some ice down in the corner. We want to make sure it's nice and fair. No wet spots on the cage. Our beautiful Hard Knocks Fighting cage, by the way.
Yeah, new mat with the Hard Knocks Fighting logo in the center. If you want your logo in the center of the Hard Knocks cage, just contact Hard Knocks Fighting at hardknocksfighting.com. And also, if you want to get into the cage, go to hardknocksfighting.com. Click the Become a Fighter link, as both these fighters have done. Oliver nodding that, yeah, you tagged me with that one, but he's still coming forward.
Again, some good striking here by both guys. Not necessarily damaging striking by either one.
Both fighters really kind of feeling each other out here again early in round 2.
Not a bad kick by Oliver.
Not a bad kick by either man, as they both stepped into one. Oliver's to the midsection, Sigvaldason's to the leg. Again, exchanging punches coming in. You can see the training that Oliver's had at Beaumont, though. You see that one fist that's staying real tight to his chin that may not have in the past.
Yeah, very tightening up the striking. And again, it's not necessarily about how hard you hit, but how accurate you hit. I've mentioned it before, George St. Pierre is an excellent example. Yes, he hits hard, but boy, does he ever hit accurately. One of the most accurate punchers in the UFC. And he's mentioned in the past that if you hit a guy at 100% accuracy, at 10% power, it's going to feel like the other way around.
Oliver trying to drive through a takedown and does manage to get the takedown there up against the cage. Turns around, spins, and secures again. Fighting for that double leg, closing the hands behind the thighs of Sigvaldason and able to drive through.
Yeah, it's been a change in wrestling in the last little bit on where your hand position is. It used to be you wanted the hands on the back of the knees. It was an equal balance for takedown defense and attacking. By positioning his hands a little bit higher up, he's actually moving it and making it easier on the center of gravity to take down. And huge elbows being dropped down on the stomach. And it looks like Sigvaldason is just going to sit there and let him do it. Now, are they causing damage? Maybe not. But in the judges' scorecards, that looks good.
Yeah, again, Keegan Oliver doing damage from the top and doing everything he can to continue on like he did in the first round, doing damage from the top. And again, going to the rubber guard is Sigvaldason, but Oliver slips that out, and now his one arm is trapped on the other side, and we'll see whether or not Sigvaldason can do anything with it.
Yeah, switching too, and looking for perhaps an omoplata, but Oliver pushing forward and getting out of that position, which is ultimately defense, and keeping his thighs high up on the thighs of his opponent. And Sigvaldason trying to do some damage here, but Keegan laying on top. I would like to see Keegan busier like he did right at the end there, but again, that looked like a nice solid round for Keegan Oliver.
And they both had something to say to one another at the end of that round. No triumphant arm raise from Keegan Oliver after round number 2.
Well, you know, sometimes you don't necessarily want to show that you won a round. Sometimes the hand raise is to try and push the judges and say, hey, I won that round. And sometimes when you walk away without putting your hands up after a dominant round, like Keegan he didn't necessarily need it there. We look at a replay here. And here's a replay of the takedown in. Watch him position his hands from the back of the knees. They're going to slide up to right underneath the butt of his opponent. And he's going to elevate and place him down. Excellent takedown by Keegan Oliver, very textbook. And looking at Sigvaldason as he heading to his corner, like Keegan Oliver's last opponent, he's frustrated. He's frustrated that he can't do anything. And Keegan is, he's a vacuum. He just holds the guy in there and doesn't let him go. And he's staying busy on top. I'm concerned that the more judges get to watch Keegan Oliver, the more they're going to think that this doesn't be effective. But again,
it's the flurry of elbows from the top. And again, didn't really look like they were hurting Sigvaldason all that much. But the impression is, nevertheless, that he's dropping elbows right to your sternum, and you're just lying there not defending it. So, again, good for Keegan Oliver. And Blake Sigvaldason now coming out with a hurry for round number 3 and trying to get on top, bouncing off the cage, and lands on top of Keegan Oliver. This is something we haven't seen from Keegan Oliver yet. We'll see how he can work from his back.
Yeah, and that was set up the whole way. This is the thought. I'm coming forward against a guy who's known to have good takedowns. What he's going to do is he's going to drop down and try and take me down, which is what Keegan did. Sigvaldason feinted that running forward, and then he stopped and was able to secure a takedown of his own. And now he's on top and looking to advance from here. But again, he's not really remaining all that busy on top. Putting some position, maybe trying to work for a submission, but Keegan Oliver actively defending on the ground.
Well, and we do talk about Keegan's wrestling primarily, however, also does train primarily at Gracie Barra, an excellent jiu-jitsu gym with a superb record here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship.
Had some great fighters coming out of there. James Haddad, one of the Hard Knocks fighters that had some success outside of Hard Knocks.
And is in Keegan's corner tonight.
And is in Keegan's corner with Josh Russell. And these are successful fighters coming out of Gracie Barra. Again, Keegan Oliver still on the ground with Sigvaldason on top. Not much happening here, though. There's no advancing of position. There's no even some light strikes that you saw from Keegan Oliver. Now he's trying to position pass, but Keegan Oliver going tight, and now he's going for a triangle position. Got a single arm in and looking to tighten it up. He needs to get that foot in behind the knee and extend that arm, but pushing forward. There he is. Now he's got it tight. This might be the first time Keegan Oliver finishes a fight. He's got the triangle in tight. He needs to pull down on the head.
And Sigvaldason doing a good job to keep the tension off his neck there by standing up and kind of hunching forward. He takes a little bit of the pressure off his neck and off the choke.
Yeah, he needs to pull that arm in, does Keegan Oliver, but he's trying it, and there's the tap. There is Keegan Oliver getting his first finish. He is jacked up. He finished the fight there. The first time in his career he's got a finish, and pushing his record to 3-0 now at 125. And here's the replay, and he's got him here, and he's going to try and put some pressure.
VIPs, make sure you fill out the ballots at your table to win a 1-week, 7-day, 5-star resort trip to North or South America. brought to you by Paradise Canyon Vacations.
Winning by triangle choke, and we saw the replay there when Sigvaldason stood up. What he did is he stopped paying attention necessarily to his arm that was trapped. Keegan straightened it out, got the pressure, was able to get his foot down, and secured the win. And again, this is his first win by submission. His first 2 wins have been by via decision, and that's got to be good. And Sigvaldason has nothing to complain about. He came in, he fought well, just ended up to a fighter who is a little bit better at being able to control in Keegan Oliver. Looks like we have the official decision in the center of the cage. We're going to go to Jaden.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the official decision brought to you by Big 4 Motors. The winner by tap out due to triangle choke at 2 minutes and 6 seconds in the 3rd round. In the red corner, Keegan the Condition Oliver.
Keegan Oliver pushes his record to 3-0.
Keegan will get you center of the cage. 3rd time in the Hard Knocks cage. 1st time you didn't go to the judges. How good does that feel?
That feels good. You know, I'm not just a wrestler. You know, I got some good jiu-jitsu too. Great jiu-jitsu drills. Josh Russell, best guy in the city.
Now, it seemed like you were having a tough time in the early going. We've seen you take down opponents at will here in the Hard Knocks cage. This time, not so easy in the early going.
Yeah, he's a little longer than my other 2 guys, so a little more tougher, but he has some good defense. I could have taken some better shots, set up better with my boxing.
Now, I'm sure we got the replay of the finish here. Walk us through the final.
I knew he was coming out hard. I was kind of mad he took me down there, but whatever. And then I knew he was trying to, you know, do a can open, really put pressure on me, and I got a pretty good triangle choke, so I just slapped it on.
Now, it looked like for a minute that he was going to bust out of it, popped up on you. Were you at all concerned he was going to get out?
No, not at all, because I knew I got strong legs and great jiu-jitsu from my coach, Josh Russell.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your winner, Keegan Oliver.